color session being the 6th of January 2026. So good to have each and every one of you around. I'd like to crave your indulgence. Kindly share the YouTube link to everyone on your various social media platforms so that this can get to as many people as possible. And yesterday we had a trade call. I'm pretty sure that we were able to maximize that and we were right on time to enter the market. Without taking further of our time, we'll just head straight to the chart for the recap of the week, what was analyzed and what took place. All right, we're back. So starting with the XY on the weekly time frame, we're just going to see what was analyzed and what took place in the market. Stay with me. Right, so starting off from the weekly time frame, right, on the weekly time frame, we have been looking at this price point for a period of time now, 107.490. We're looking for price to retrace right back, long term, of course. Right, so, but we saw this sell and price ranged for a couple of, weeks before, trading below, right? But long term, I'm still looking at 107.490 for price to trade all the way. And on daily time frame, we actually had this speculation that we're expecting the continuation of the sell on the XY once price trades into the left shoulder at this point 98.873 for it to continue the push to the downside. Coming down to the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, we were also expecting pushes to the downside once, we fibbed from point A to point B right here. And we were speculating that we wanted to see price trade right back here. We're actually looking at a buy to sell for price to trade into this fair value gap, coinciding with 97.912 for the continuation of the sell on the XY. And the 1-hour time frame also, the 1-hour time frame, let's see what we're actually looking at. Two price points, the fair value gap at 97.912 and this left shoulder right here at 98.750. This is the last day of the week. We may see one more push to the upside before the continuation of the sell on the XY, or price may even react at this point where price currently is 61.8% fib level, coinciding with this fair value gap right here. We had the sell speculation on the XY, and of course the buy that happened was just a retracement on the pair. Coming down to Euro USD, let's see what was said and what took place in the market. On the weekly time frame, we also want to see price retrace into this level long term, of course, long term, but looking at what happened at this high, the most recent price action, this high was taken out all the way to the upside, coming down to the daily time frame. Or long term, of course, I still want to take the buy of Euro USD once price retraces into 1.06629 on the weekly time frame. On daily time frame also, this high was taken out, expanded to the upside, and then all we saw was price retracing. Beg your pardon. All we saw was price retracing, right? Price retraced into 61.8% fib level for the continuation of the buy on Euro USD. Coming to the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame for this week, all we saw was a retracement, a retracement rather. Right, so we can see that the most recent price action tends to be bearish, and this bearishness is just a retracement, if you ask me, for the continuation of the buy of Euro USD. And where's price retracing into? Right here into 78.6% fib level, coinciding with this fair value gap. And once I see break of structure on the much lower time frames, I will keep riding the buy to the upside. And of course, what we saw from Monday to to Friday, rather, on Euro USD seems to be sell positions to the downside, not really aligning with everything I said on Monday, that I expected a continuation of the buy into the week, but instead, into this week, we're seeing even more sells to the downside. Do not panic. All that is happening is just a retracement. Into next week, I am still looking to long Euro USD. And of course, I've explained that this short is just a retracement into the 4-hour fair value gap, coinciding with 78.6% fib level. And of course, if price doesn't react from this level to the upside, then be rest assured that there's going to be one more push into this 4-hour other block on the 4-hour time frame. If you have questions, please do well to ask. And last on my list being GBP USD. On the weekly time frame, we may see price retracing all the way to 1.24817 long term, of course. Coming down to the daily time frame, pretty much the same thing with what happened on the on Euro USD rather. So this previous high was taken out, expanded all the way to the upside. After every expansion, we expect to see a retracement before the continuation of the prevailing trend. And of course, on the daily time frame, price retraced into 61.8% fib level, coinciding with this other block. Fair value gap. I beg your pardon. Price retraced right here, and we're seeing some push to the upside. Into next week, I want to keep buying Euro USD, GBP USD, I beg your pardon. And as you can see, Euro USD sold more than GBP USD. GBP USD on the 4-hour time frame seems to just, retrace right back into this other block right here. And we're seeing a reaction based on my base strategy, right? After seeing that this high on the 1-hour time frame has been taken out, I will wait for a retracement and wait for a base to be formed. Then I will long GBP USD, of course, into next week. So we had a buy speculation for GU and EU, and all we saw were sales this week, which of course I've explained that is just a retracement into our various points of interest before the continuation of the buy. And of course, after every expansion, just to reiterate, there should be a retracement. So that's the end of my recap. We will be going to the next analysis of today's session. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
Good morning, traders. Welcome back to the market color. We shall be proceeding into the market colors. We're going to take a quick look at the gold. We're going to look at the yen. We're going to look at GBP JPY and the Euro JPY. So these are the things we're going to be looking at the second part of the market color. So very quickly, let's go straight into the charts. Now, looking at gold this morning, as what we have seen from last week, we can see that gold has made not very interesting moves the last couple of days. We have seen gold make this retracement of the buy back to the upside, and then we saw it retracing back again to the downside. So it's kind of a bit of a confusion of what gold is doing. For some people, it looks very misleading at this point because we saw this move to the downside and another move to the upside. If you even go ahead to look at it on the weekly time frame, it's going to show you that in the last 2 weeks, doji candles have been formed. So the last 2 weeks have been represented by doji candles, which means that there is somewhat of confusion, somewhat of mixed bias on the buyer side and on the seller side for gold. So this is what gold has been showing us in the past couple of days. Now, if you look at it on the lower time frame, it's a bit more clearer than we think. So if you're looking at it from the 4-hour time frame, you would understand that this is the sell move. All right, and then if you measure the sell move, you see that it properly retraced into this level here, because on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that structures right here and here have been broken. So this is clearly indicative of a sell trend. Right now, it retraced into this level, which is about the midpoint of the whole sell to the downside, and afterwards it continued selling again. So looking like gold sell is going to resume. I mean, if you look at it, crossing it, looking at it in tandem with other currencies that represent the same thing that gold does around this period, you would see that they are all selling. And gold is expected to sell a little as much as they are selling. So we're expecting a further sell on gold all the way to the downside, looking at what we have right now in the market. Now, if you go into the 1-hour time frame, you see that there's also formed mini structure to the downside, indicating that a sell trend rather is in play. So for gold right now, I'm expecting a sell, just as simple as that. Right here on the 15-minute time frame, you could see an engulfing candle that formed right here. It didn't pretty much engulf as much as we would have preferred, but it also showed a sign for a sell. At this point, we're expecting a sell-off on gold. For me, as usual, we'd want to wait for a clear break of structure to show that market is ready to move in our preferred direction before we engage. So for me, I'm waiting for gold to just break this low right here. Once I see a break of this low, I'll be selling gold to the downside. So here is a path I prefer gold to travel, and I'm looking forward to seeing. So I'm going to be taking my entry somewhere around here once I see it show. So if gold breaks this low and returns to it, this is where I'll be expecting a sell-off around this region. Okay, so this is my bias on gold for today. And into next week, I also expect that it should continue the sell to the downside. Okay, so this is that for gold. So this week, like I said, just a quick, this is the recap of the week. We're expecting sell-offs on gold, and as we've seen it do so right from right from Wednesday midweek. On Monday, we had the buys. Then on Tuesday, we saw the sales, which led into Wednesday, and now this is Friday. We're expecting more and more sales to happen. All right, so this is what we're looking out for this week on gold. Now let's move over to the yen. For the yen basket, we saw that the yen basket started experiencing some resurrection this week, right? And it started somewhere around yesterday. We've been expecting it since the beginning of the week, but just kept selling. So we joined it, and right now it's gave us the buy we were looking out for. So we understood that yen basket broke this high, and we analyzed for a buy bias on the yen basket unless price breaks this low. So we've not seen price break this low yet. Instead, we've been seeing some push to the upside, which we have taken note of. If you look at the 4-hour time frame as well, you see that price came all the way back to this, close to this other block, and then started pushing back to the upside. We're expecting further sales on the yen basket today, further buys rather on the yen basket today, as we are still bullish. Okay, so after this retracement, we expect more and more buys on the yen basket. So this week, we've seen that the yen basket sold off a little, and after selling off into some deep retracement, you are expecting buys to the upside. So overall, the yen basket is looking bearish and has been so, it's looking bullish rather, and has been so since this ending of the week, that was starting from yesterday. Now let's look at what we expect to do in line with what the yen basket is doing. So for the yen basket, we are looking to see it buy further. So GBP JPY has been selling to the downside because that is what we expected it to do. So for GBP JPY, we've been bearish on GBP JPY since on Wednesday. And you can see it right here. I know some of you will be wondering where we said it on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we had our student traders forum, which is an exclusive class with our students here on the floor. And we analyzed for a GBP JPY sell. And started selling that Wednesday because we thought something that's related to it. So back to the analysis for today. The GBP JPY has been bearish and we expect it to keep being so. And our target is for it to come take out this low right here. Okay, so for GBP JPY, we're expecting much more and more bearishness. For today, we're going to be looking for a trade to the downside. Seeing that GBP JPY has gone ahead to break this high right here, we need to be a little more careful now. As for where we're going to be looking for a buy, I'm expecting GBP JPY to retrace somewhere around here because this was the last buy. Let me show you that on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so if you're looking at this as the last sell on the 4-hour time frame, you will be willing to see it retrace all the way to this 50% level. Okay, if it retraces all the way there, then we're going to be looking for a GBP JPY sell from somewhere around here. All right. Then finally for Euro JPY. For Euro JPY, we've been bearish. We had a bearish trade call yesterday on Euro JPY. Trade is still there for some people who some of us had broken even and then trade had to stop us out, which is not sad, but we're going to come back. So for Euro JPY this week, we saw it move bullishly and then we analyzed for a sell starting from this region here because of this box pattern, and we saw it play out even on 4-hour time frame. We had a quick sell yesterday on Euro JPY and we are analyzing for it to sell off from here. You can see how that played out. Now for the 1-hour time frame, we're still expecting a sell-off on Euro JPY today. So just stay tuned, pay attention to what the market is doing, and let's see how Euro JPY is going to sell off today. So our expectation for Euro JPY, just like GBP JPY, is still a sell. So we want to see what price is going to do when it gets to our preferred entry positions. Okay, so that's that for Euro JPY and GBP JPY. Overall, what I'm expecting to play out today on these two pairs are sells. So we're looking out for a sell on GBP JPY and on Euro JPY. If you see price getting to any of your entry signatures, then be free and willing to enter the trade. For Euro JPY, we might see price come take out these highs before we get the sell. So we might be seeing a sell from somewhere around here. If not, then watch out for this low here. If price breaks out this low before your entry pattern prints out, then get ready to take a sell from somewhere around here. Okay, so this is what we have for Euro JPY. Quickly, we're going to switch into VIX and then we'll return back to the Forex pair. So we're looking at synthetic indices in the next few seconds. So we're going to continue the analysis moving with VIX.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Market Follow brought to you by the Value Flow Trading Team. A great insightful analysis from Cynthia and CJ on the currency pair. This morning, we are going to be going quickly into the analysis of the synthetic, what we have going on the synthetic index for synthetic trader this morning, as we said that everybody will be carrying along in this new market color. All right, let's quickly get into the step index first. And from there, we move to VIX75 and we round up with this 10 index. All right, for step index, looking at the daily time frame, you are going to agree with me that we are in a downtrend. However, this is some level of market structure shift just some few days ago. You look at it early this year, you think that we already have a market structure shift. how that price already broke structure here. So all things being equal, we expect some level of pullback all the way to this zone. Then we're going to follow through to the upside for the step index 100. All right, so let's go to the lower time frame, starting from the 4-hour time frame. So if you look at it from the 4-hour time frame also, we have it very much clear how that price already have liquidity from all this level, and we already see clear market structure shift. So all things being equal, we are still expecting that price is going to trade further to the downside and we follow through. Now, when price get to this zone, you and I are looking out for opportunities to long step index. But let's go to the lower time frame to check out, since we won't just be waiting and watching till price get to that zone. On the lower time frame now, we want to see where exactly do we have where we can join the sell to the downside. And looking at what we have here, you can see that price already broke structure to the downside here from the 1-hour time frame. So this pullback all the way to this zone is also a very great one. However, I'm of the opinion that if you truly want to join the set of step index, then wait and allow price to trade all the way into the zone and you follow through. When you see your entry signature for yourself around this zone, you can follow through. And where are we selling all the way into? We are selling into the daily POI, which is to this level here. And when price get to this level, two things: is it that price get there and react when we see our entry signature for a buy, we look for opportunity to buy to the upside, since we are looking to sell from this top to this low. But when price gets here, wait and see the entry signature, because I'm of the opinion that price may get to this zone and come for this fair value gap and also this reference point of an order block. So let's watch out for that level and we can easily follow through all the way to the upside. All right, that is that for this step index 100. Let's quickly go to this 10 to see what is going on the chart. Now, if you look at this 10, sometimes last week we already established the fact how that price already took out this low, creating a very clear of liquidity sweep, and at the same time we begin to see the push to the upside. Now that push, let's check it out on the 4-hour time frame to see what is really going on there. Now looking at what we have on the 4-hour time frame for the push, we already see more of a market structure shift here, if you would agree with me. However, we see that we have another block staying here, which also is giving what we call the false pattern somewhere at the top here, because we already see the sweep of liquidity. Market entered into a consolidation, as you can see, downtrend, consolidation, then sweep of liquidity, and we have further sell to the downside. So that is telling us a very clear story that whenever price trades into this zone, we should look out for opportunity to sell further to the downside. All right, so that is that. Looking at this 10 on the 4-hour time frame. Now clear much more on 1-hour time frame to see what exactly we are looking out for. Now on the 1-hour time frame, we already see a very clean POI where we are expecting price to trade into. So for today, I'm expecting this 10 to sell a little bit more to the downside. This POI, then we look out for the entry signature to buy. Also, we have a POI here, which is this fair value gap that we have just at this particular point here. As you can see, this is a fair value gap. So I'm expecting price to trade into that zone. Then we look for entry to pause to buy all the way back up for this 10 index. All right, now, and if you are buying all the way from this level to the upside, also know that two things happen. If price tests this particular level first, and as price is coming back up, you need to upload your position around this level here, because we already have a very clear bounce pattern playing out here. So this is the shoulder that we have already around this zone, and we are expecting price to get there and begin to sell to the downside, including this very strong order block that we have playing out here. So this is the level we are looking out for this 10 index, and it's very clean and clear. So we can see that happen in the course of the weekend. First, a sell, a buy. So we are looking for an opportunity to buy somewhere here, and as we buy it all the way up, upload your position, which is about 1:3.7. Upload your positions, and you now look for opportunity to short again from this zone, because we have an entry signature somewhere there. So this is another zone for a sell. All right, so when we do that, sell all the way back down to your 1:4, 1:5. Your chart is showing us that this is 1:5. So you do that, this is the markup, and we expect this to play out today into the weekend or first few trading day of next week for this index. Now, lastly, as I close, lastly, as we end analysis for the synthetic and we move to the commodity. Now, look at what is really going on V75. Now, V75 from the 4-hour time frame. If you would agree with me, we've seen a very great sell-off of V75 for a very long time. It's been long that we see price at this level. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen price at this level before on V75 around 24,363. All right. Now, but for the past few weeks, we see how that price has been bouncing off a trend line all the way to the upside. And at the same time, now we now see the trend line broken from the 4-hour perspective. This becomes much more clear on the 1-hour time frame. If you look at it from the 1-hour time frame, holistically, you are going to observe that price created this trend line, and now you already have it broken to the downside. So just as few minutes before the start of the TDA session, when I saw that price already broke the structure here, you are going to agree with me that if you come to a 15-minute time frame, we have a structure for a sell already formed, because this is a shoulder level. We see how the price took out liquidity, and now price has broken this level here, which is the shoulder, that's broken it. So we have a very clean and clear bust pattern there, and at the same time a trend line has also been broken. So that is why this is the first entry for V75 sell, and you can see price just tapped into it just from the POI is from the 1-hour time frame. As you can see it here, this is it here, and price just tap into it, and we are following through all the way to the downside. Now look at it from the 4-hour perspective. You can see its price is reacting off this other block on the 4 hours. You can see it here. Price is reacting off that other block, and that is why we have that level marked. And what are we targeting? We are targeting all these diagonal liquidity, which implies that price has a high tendency of being 1:3 based on this current trade from the 4 hours. And if you come and look at it from the 15 minutes too, where we have our shoulder pattern, you would also agree with me that all things being equal, we can still see price pull back a little bit more, because this is where we have the shoulder pattern or the bust pattern on the 15-minute time frame, as you can see. So we expect that price should trade into all these levels and will begin to short further. So this is the first entry. We're expecting 1:2 or 1:3. And if price for any reason pull all the way up again, then it's coming for this shoulder level at this bust here, then we should be the second shot with our SL just above this, so at the top here. So this is it for the step index V75 and V10 index. Right about now, we'll be going into we'll be having a very short brief break, and then we are going to be going into the analysis of the indices, and from there we go straight into the analysis of the commodity. Thank you, cheers, and God bless.
Welcome back to the market color session. Thank you for that analysis, Lincoln. It was really, really interesting. All right, we've had a very amazing week so far. If you've been following our analysis on indices, right? Especially the call that was given on Monday, for those that were around, we had a very, very good week this week. I mean, cumulatively, I'm looking at 1:18R, probably 1:17 by the time you take out the losses that we incurred, right? So it was really interesting. Let me share my screen so that we look at it together. Our trade we had for the week and how it played out. Okay. Okay. And so this is my chart. I believe we all had this chart coming. Okay. I believe we all saw this happened throughout the week on Monday into Wednesday. Yeah, we had this happen. Monday into Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday, we completed the buy, right? Price even got to our take profit on Tuesday, and also on Wednesday, we got an entry for those that could utilize this other block, and then price still delivered even up until this zone, right? So this was our markup for the week. We had this level, a sweep, a break to the upside, and then price giving us a form of liquidity. Yeah, liquidity, right? An inducement, anyone you want to call it, and then price eventually tapped into it. I remember we had the setup since like last week, so price tapped into it on Friday, right, and then rallied a bit, and then by Monday morning we got a very clear entry. Price came back into this other block, which is on the 1 hour time frame, a very beautiful entry. And then what happened next? That started the beginning of the rally, right? We had a very strong push, which we said after price breaks this zone, we are bound to fly. And what happened next? Immediately price broke it. See what happened. We had another rally. So it was a beautiful trade. Massive one for anybody that was inside. This is 1:11 hour, right? So very good. And then the next day, which is Tuesday, price sold off again into this zone, right? Remember I said once price breaks this, we are bound to rally, to see that rally to the upside. And what happened eventually? Price tapped into this zone, and then what happened next? We saw the rally to the upside again. Although not everyone might have taken this trade because it happened 6 o'clock, 7 p.m. 6 p.m., 7 p.m. In the evening. So I mean Nigerian time. So not everyone might be on the chart, but then if you had a penny order set or something around this zone, then you might have been triggered and then most likely made some money off this zone, right? And then on S&P 500, also a beautiful trade delivery. However, like I mentioned, there's no point trying to form or trying to claim all the wins without taking the loss. We took a loss here, right, which was really planned. If you remember, the idea was that price is going to tap into this other block that's not been tested before, since we have a break of structure and then price already broken structure to the downside properly. So it might not necessarily test this area of interest. And then we had our setup. Here like this for price to do what? Start selling and then giving us a 1:3R. I think that was okay. I think that this was it. 1:, like 3.8R, and then we will be settled. Probably this, if I'm not mistaken, 1:3. I remember it was 1:3, right? And then what did price do? Price came and then violated this our point of interest. And I also mentioned, if for any reason price violates our point of interest, the next point that is feasible and then also logical for us to start selling from is this zone, right? Even more logical because we have a lot of inducement, diagonal liquidity, kind of this around this zone, and then price, we had this set of price came into an order block that's not been tested before, ranged a bit, did like it was going to take us out. Thank God we had this markup extended far above the highs, right? And then we had enough allowance for price to range, do all it wants to do, and then eventually look at that drop, right? In fact, for the next 4 or 5 hour candle was massive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We already 1:1 we were already 1:6 on, this was on Tuesday, 1:6, all right? Yes, 1:6.27, I remember. And then the next day, price rallied to the upside again, and then we had a second drop, which eventually gave us our full TP. That was 7.5 now. Yeah, but this low was our take profit, this one here. Eventually, price delivered. We got our main setup. So this 1:7 minus 1, that's 6.66 RR plus 11 on US30. 11 plus 6, that's 17.66 RR. That means you leverage $1,000, you're working away with $17,000. That's massive. $100, you're working away with $1,700. $10,000. Let's not start imagining numbers. All right. So what do we have for next week? Let me clear all of this. We made the money for this week. On the daily time frame, what are we saying? We're saying that the market is beginning to seek what? The nearest point of interest that has not been mitigated. Let's look for any near point that has not been mitigated before. The only guy, interesting. This market is really understandable. All right, look at it. We had that rejection. This zone has not been tested before. We had price tag into this, and then it's rejecting off of this. All right, it's rejecting off of this. The excitement of the sell didn't even made me realize look for setup again. I just left it because I mean, if you've made money, you don't want to give the market back that money. Okay, so price has tapped into this zone. Let's see how strong this zone holds, right? Let's see how strong this zone holds. It holds very well. Then I'll look for buys to the upside, and then that would help the closest area for a buy, for a sell, sorry, to continue this rally will be this. That's not been tested before, right? So any buy we have, we should rally at least into this zone, into this fair value gap. It should rally right into this fair value gap. So any opportunity to buy will be buying into this fair value gap. So you know you're not caught off guard, right? But much more, by Monday, we'll be giving analysis for the week, direction for the week. Hopefully, the market closes today by 11, then we can do a proper analysis for next week. All right, that's pretty much what we have going on US 100 and US 30 as regards to the recap we had for the week. The trades we took, made money on US 30, made money on S&P 500. It's a huge one. All right, guys, see you next week. Thank you, cheers, and God bless. The next person will be coming up for analysis on commodity, which is really important. It's important you pay attention. So after this call, we'll be going on a very short break, and then the next voice you'll be hearing will be the voice of the last speaker. So ensure you stay tuned, ensure you go nowhere. All right, see you next week. Cheers and God bless.
All right, wonderful analysis so far. I have been, keeping up with all the markups that my colleagues shared. Now we're pretty much going to look at the final asset classes, commodity currencies. Those are AUD USD, NZ USD, and USD CAD. We did quite a lot of markups on Monday, so we just want to see how these markups have now played out. So I'm going to start off with a look at AUD USD on the H4 time frame. If you were around for Monday's analysis, you recall that we said we had an overall buy bias on this asset class, looking at temporal sales into most preferred POIs that will continue to buy from. But then we also drew levels on the 5-minute time frame where we could see temporal buys from, and the market delivered exactly as we had talked about. Yeah. So H4 time frame is still a bullish bias, it's still heavily to the upside. on the H1 time frame, price has currently broken through and it's looking like it's going to retest the level that you could start to sell from. Yeah. However, I'm going to quickly show you the 5-minute time frame so you can see the markups that we had initially drawn. And so you see how price respected those levels and traded off it. So these are the levels that we had marked out from Monday's analysis. And from this zone, you see how price came, it bought, it found resistance, hit it, came back down, bought again, hit resistance, and came down. Eventually gave us confirmation patterns somewhere around here. And from that level to where it bought to, this was about what? Over 100 pips, which is quite a lot, especially for an asset class like AUD here. So price gave us that beautiful buy from our temporal, or rather short-term point of interest before we now started to see the sell downward. So price has now broken through and it's currently breaking structures to the downside. We also made mention of the fundamental news release we're looking at coming out on Tuesday. Quickly look at that. That was a news release coming out on cash rate. Yeah, and we said when it comes out higher than expected, it is good for currency. It came out pretty much as forecasted, 3.85%. So it didn't really do much on the chart yet. We're not exactly sure from any of these fundamental news. But we did see that because we expected it to happen, there was some sort of stability to the upside before this reversal that is currently happening right now. So what do I think is going to be happening on AUD/USD moving forward? Price has now broken through. Looks like it's coming to retest. This is a POI that is still very much valid, 0.69837. When price comes to retest this one, we just might see AUD/USD give us more push into the next POI, which is all the way down here. Now, this could still be a temporary sell move that could just sell into this level before we continue the overall buy structure. One of two things would happen for sure. If price continues to buy, because looking at H4, you see that a new sunshine has been printed. Now, if you're conversant with the all-weather strategy, you know that this just basically means that this buy could actually resume from here. However, if the new sunshine is printed when we see this retracement and price continues to sell in here, it may be a temporary retracement that could retrace into this previous resistance level turn support, or it will break below and continue, thereby forming new structures. So for now, I'm still expecting a temporary sell move, except price is able to take out the structure point. If price takes out the structure point because of the sunshine indicator that has been printed on the H4 time frame, then we see buying moves. Perhaps I'm currently in the middle, but that's fine. Today is Friday, so I'm going to have, or there's going to be clearer data come Monday. Next, let us look at NZD/USD on the H4 time frame as well. Same thing, we had pretty similar bias or perspective on this asset class. We said we're looking at price basically buying, but then giving us temporary sell moves. And we also touched a bit on fundamental news releases as well that we expected to come out on NZD. That is employment change quarter-on-quarter and unemployment rate. Now, the employment change came out at 0.5%. as against the forecasted 0.3%. So that signals strength on NZD/USD here, which could explain the buy moves that we saw on this asset class. However, unemployment rates now came out higher than expected, which is not so good for currency here because it just signals that even though there are more job creation happening in that economy, the unemployment rate is still high. So what am I now thinking? This is mixed data. Basically mixed data. However, I believe currencies or economies are more concerned about unemployment rate than more job creation. So this is still an issue that is still being watched. So because of that, I think my bias is more, or it's tilting towards the downside more for NZD/USD. Now, looking at H4, looking at structure or indicators, what am I now saying? This is still showing me a buy perspective on H4 time frame. Sunshine has been printed. However, moving to H1, similar to what we saw on AUD/USD, price has now broken below, looking like a retest back into this zone. So I'm going to mark out these zones because I understand we all do not have these indicators installed on our chart. So just take note of the price point. And if you want to learn how to use these indicators or have access to these indicators, simply sign up for the Forex Bootcamp course that is going to be starting on Monday by 10 a.m. There's still time for you to enroll. Registration ends on Sunday evening. Okay, back to the chart, yeah? So NZD/USD on the H1 time frame, price has broken below. This is a retest. Are we going to see NZD/USD give us a sell here? Sorry about that. Is that going to be a sell from here into this next point of interest, which would now be 0.58503. Now, these are typically zones. I like to call them zones. The only reason I use the horizontal line is just so you have a more precise idea of what I'm talking about, but these are typically zones. So is price going to sell into the zone? Only one way to find out here, by looking for confirmation patterns on the chart and trading according to what we see and following or respecting our rules of trading. So NZUSD also gave us a beautiful buy. Price did this. These were the zones that were marked out on the 2nd of February, right here. So price came, see how it broke below, came back to retest on Tuesday. This was the next day that price came to retest this level. And from that zone to well, it did. This was 50 plus pips. So it didn't deliver as much as AUD/USD did, but it's understandable because we had mixed data. But you see how even with the mixed data, it was tilting more towards the bearish side, and we had more moves happen downward, which is what we're seeing here. So I still think there's still a bit more room for NZUSD to trade lower, except it fails to break through these zones that we marked out on the upside. If it happens to break through, because sunshine has been printed, we may see more buys of NZUSD that will buy into the next POI on the upside, which is 0.61230. And then finally looking at USD CAD on the H4 time frame, we mentioned watching out for temporal buys as well on USD CAD, with our overall bias being a sell. So we mentioned that price did that, but it is currently approaching our level. So basically delivering as we had expected, or we had discussed that it would. Okay, so yes, price is still moving towards the upside. Let's go down to M5. Now, USD CAD came back into the levels we drew as well. This is okay. So this is MT4, so it requires me, pushing back in time, unlike trading view where you can easily move. So you can see the levels we marked out. This way analysis done. 2nd of February, Monday here, price came. It didn't fully tap into the zone, but you see how close it got to that level, and it did 70 pips. It did 70 pips on USD CAD, even more. But I didn't trade USD CAD. Once I traded for AUD/USD and NZUSD. But you see how much this delivered. Did a lot, and it is still moving to the upside as we expected it to, right? So price is still pushing upward. Although we can see that it is currently reacting off this level, which is somewhere around the 1.37385, but it has not fully tapped as I would prefer. Same thing that happened on M5 that did not allow me fully take the trade on USD CAD. It didn't fully tap into my POI and it just left. Those are very, very painful if you've experienced that before. But yes, this is what I'm now watching out for. So moving into next week on USD CAD, what do I think is going to happen? Price is currently doing this. You just might see, more push into the zone and then the sell confirmation. But if you look at H4, new sunshine has been printed. So because this new sunshine has been printed and don't break of structure is downward, all the indicators are basically tilting downward. The buy or the rather the sell move may just start from now. So yes, this is already pointing downwards. However, sunshine does reprint or repaint, so it may move a bit higher to see more moves on H1 into our most preferred level before the sell fully continues. These are my perspectives and what we saw on Monday, how they played out. This week was beautiful, yeah? So moving into next week, we're going to be sharing a new bias on Monday on all of these asset classes and what we think is going to be happening. So ensure that you do not miss it. If you have to pin this channel on your Telegram channel, do that so that you get all the notifications and you're able to join us. I'd also like to indulge us to share the link to the community with 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 people so that they get to join this community and partake from these insights that we give on a daily basis. Remember, it is totally free to you, but it comes at a cost for us. But we are willing to do this for the trading community and would like to have more people on board. Also, one more time, if you want to learn how to trade the Forex market, simply WhatsApp 081 60 90 50 30 and we're going to guide you through. Once again, 081 60 99 60 99 50 30 and would guide you through all of that. Or just send us a DM on Telegram in case you can't find that number on WhatsApp. With that being said, Do have an amazing trading. Okay, it's the weekend. So TGIF, enjoy the weekend, have an amazing time, but don't forget to backtest and study/prepare for the upcoming week. All right. God bless. Cheers. Goodbye.